Johan and I were discussing in the break, and we would like to continue a little bit deeper also with this whole topic of change, not to go so quickly. Even if you might feel it's already so much about it, but we will go a little deeper. I would like to call to your attention that nothing unprecedented is happening like now. This coronavirus is not unprecedented. There have been others like that. There have been, in the medieval age and so on, there have been infectious epidemics going through, killing many, many people. It's part of what happens to humans. Sometimes it stays more confined, and now that there is such great mobility, it goes everywhere, very quickly. People are living very long nowadays. They become very old. People are used to safety and protection. They forget. We forget how fragile we are. We forget how difficult it is to live in a house without heating, or even to live outside in nature. We forget the nature of the human being is incredibly fragile. What is so amazing now, and this is always the problem with impermanence, is when something happened which was not foreseen, which is not in the plan, wasn't planned. The tens of thousands of people which die from, for example, their own tobacco smoking every year. They are planned. Yeah? They're already foreseen in the statistics. The millions of people in the world which die of accidents. Yes? They are foreseen in the statistics. No one cares. We will, of course, we care, we try to reduce it, but it's part of life. Now, when something happens that we have not been aware of, that it could happen, then we are surprised, and then we get upset, and we panic. And we switch into this, from the panic into the survival mode, wanting to survive. And this is behind the whole story, is the fear of death, the fear of suffering and the fear of death. Now there will be no peace in anyone's mind if we have not found peace with death. With the fact, yes, that this body is going to die, and everyone else's as well, and that everything will crumble at one point, at some point. This house which we are just renovating will crumble again. It's already crumbling while we renovate it. So this is when you're aware of change, of the process nature of life. When you're really aware, then you're not surprised when things like that happen. It's no surprise. It's within that which is natural. This fragile body, it is very natural that infectious diseases can attain it. If we want to find the clever way to get out of it, to escape from it, we will just face the same dilemma a later time. We will actually not be able to really deeply find peace. Peace we find when we are okay to die. Yeah, fine. We can even use that process for deeper insight. Happily dying. This is the point of deep practice, is that one becomes so much in touch with the way things are that we are okay with life and death, becoming and decaying, birth and death. It's always happening together. So this deep yes to just what is our nature, this is something that we are going for. All our Dharma practice is to make us aware of just how it is. I feel this is an important point. Fortunately, I encountered these teachings when I was very young. Oh, not very young, come on, 18, 19, yes? So from that time on, I've been contemplating the possibility that I could die anytime, and I still haven't died. But the thought is with me, and it's my best advisor. It makes me appreciate life so much. Because life can finish anytime, this life in this body can finish anytime due to just swallowing a popcorn which gets stuck. Like the doctor in the next village, you know, to my parents. He died from a popcorn in front of the TV. It can happen anytime. Now living with that, knowing that I don't know how much time I really have to live, I will use my time well. This time now, I will use well. Not tomorrow, I could be dead tomorrow. We cannot swear that we will see each other tomorrow. It's not possible, to be sure. So if we live with the imminence, the possibility of leaving, having to leave this body, any time, we make very good use of now, always the present situation. And we don't lose time. What is most important always comes first. And then, if you look back on such a life, you haven't lost your time. And I have lived my life that I could die any time. And it's been long now that I really feel at ease. Yes, I'm ready to die. I'm ready to die today, I'm ready to die tomorrow. It's fine. I've fully lived it and I have no regret. So this is this is another point of the contemplation of change and the possibility to have to leave this body at any given moment, that we do not procrastinate, we do not nach hinten verschieben, we do not delay what is most important. We do it right now, same day. When we understand something today, when do we put it into action? Today, not tomorrow. Now is the moment. There's this wonderful thing about understanding change, that one knows it's only now. This is the only moment in time which counts. Past is to learn from, future is to speculate about and to prepare for, but it's the now where everything decides itself. This is where we create the next now. The future is created in the now. This is where we actually form our life experience. So this is the big lesson from my point of view. This is what I have learned from this life, maybe we can say from this lifelong contemplation.
Yes, I think the resistance to your death comes only from your students, not from yourself. So
no chance.
So we refuse. He lets go, but we don't. And maybe I can say a few words about the signs for us, for all of us, all of you practitioners, the signs of starting to integrate this dimension of change, the signs that really show that even if we have not reached yet this stage where we are totally free from fear of death, we are totally ready to embrace the dissolution that will take place at the moment of death, which is, you can say, complete freedom, the ultimate sign, you can say, of being a free mind. But long before that, there are many indications that we start to really come to terms with the change, with the experience of impermanence. And the first, very clear, is that we develop a very natural, irresistible sense of emergency, a sense that there is no time to lose. No time to lose to take care of the most essential. That doesn't necessarily mean that we go forever into retreat, but that means that we set our priorities very straight, and that there is no more this possibility in us to really, we are not waiting anymore. Yeah, we know what we have to do, we know where we have to go. This is to the point of being completely free of the fear of death. This is to the point of integrating completely, becoming the change so fully that there is no more death. Yes? And so the sense of emergency, we call this sometimes also like renunciation. That means spiritual life and working with the mind and discovering the liberating qualities is what is most important in our life. This is where we want to give ourselves 100% and more. Yeah? So there is really a sense of dedication, a sense even of devotion arising towards this possibility of freedom. And then more and more we start to actually take the change as a direct guidance, you can say. So there is less and less resistance. And we are starting to see the fears, which are the alarm coming when, for example, death is coming in the background, or suffering is presenting itself, like now with the coronavirus. Yeah, so much fear arising in the world, rising in ourselves. So you start to be more interested in these fears as the door to insight, as the door to liberation. You know that by getting closer to that, by being with that, you are actually embracing the change, and you are actually opening up the possibility of complete freedom. So we start to develop, you can say, a reversed attitude towards our challenges, towards our difficulties, which is an attitude of welcoming them, an attitude of being interested, an attitude of wanting to explore them as the main resource that we have. This is very much the spirit of the Mahamudra teachings of really using all these fears, all these challenges as fuel, as fertile ground, as resources. And this will be the sign that we are starting to understand the nature of change, that we are starting to integrate the change as a natural experience. And then, going further, steps further, then we start to discover moments, we start to have moments of, within the fears, within the change, of true freedom. Maybe they are still short-lived, maybe they are not yet the full releasing of a sense of self, but there are already glimpses of that. And these moments then when we have that, and we start to really be able to rejoice in change, in challenges, even, as paradoxical as it sounds, in fears arising. As long as the fear arises, that means that the change is not fully understood. And therefore we take this as an incentive, as a teaching, as an inspiration to understand more, to go deeper. So our fears are not, our enemies are not something to get rid of, but they are also our teachers, very much. Yeah? And so up to the point So this is how we can start to rejoice in change, yeah? By this gradual process of first sense of emergency, then discovering the meaningfulness of our challenges and our fears, and then gradually having glimpses of freedom within them. Until we reach the point that Tillman was so beautifully describing, where there is no more fear of dying, because there is the full understanding that no one dies. No one can actually die. There is no such a thing. So change then becomes synonym of freedom. There's no more difference. And this is the final stage, and we all have a long way to go towards that. But it is possible for every practitioner, dedicated practitioner, who has this sense of emergency. It is possible within this lifetime, without a doubt, to have true glimpses of that freedom within our fears, within the change. And it is possible to experience that also at the moment of death. Even if we are not a fully fledged, realized person, like a full-grown, free mind, then it is still possible to have profoundly liberating experiences in this lifetime, and then even more so at the moment of death, where the dissolution will take place anyway, in an irresistible way. So this is maybe to give you more kind of gradual overview of how the process to deal with, as a practitioner, how the process evolves. And it's a very natural growth. We should not pretend too early to be beyond the fear of death before it actually, because it's quite clear when it is the case. It's not just a vague impression or a belief. It's a lived experience, a very clear one. And so until that happens, then we go step by step into coming to terms with the change as a teacher. That's the gradual approach.
Can you feel that? Even when we are silent, our experience is dynamic. Experience is kind of flowing on, going on. And in that experiencing, there is something like a stable taste. It's a taste of being alive. And this is called awareness, to be aware. Whether it's a difficult experience or a pleasurable experience, we live it, we experience it. And just how it is to be aware, that continues through all situations. That's the stability. That's the nature of mind, to be aware, to be dynamic, to be clear, clearly perceiving, simple, open. That's what will stay when we die. That's the dimension into which we need to let go when leaving this body. There's nothing dangerous there. It's ungraspable. And it is impersonal. It is, you could say it is universal. It is the same for everyone to experience this taste of just how it is to be aware. How it feels to be. You cannot really describe it, although there's a very vivid experience of that. It is always there. It is completely reliable. You cannot find a moment of experience where this taste would not be there. Well, thank you very much. Let me just say a few words what perhaps happened also to you. We were talking about change, we were describing life, we were talking about life and death, and Johann was describing it so vividly, so it was so much felt, and something happened in us that we were actually feeling it. We were in harmony with life. We were kind of by following the words, we were beginning to feel. We were beginning to get there, and then something happened. Then you finished talking, and it was there because we were in tune. That's all. No more denial, no more running away, no clinging, no wanting, just being in tune, being the flow, being the openness. Now don't think this is the end of the journey. Right now, this might feel very special and sacred to you. Maybe you have not lived something special. But it's also called ordinary consciousness. It's called normal mind, ordinary mind. It's the most normal of everything. It's always there. This quality of nature of mind is always there. That is in every aspect of our life. At any time in your life, you can always open up to that, no matter how difficult the situation is, even when dying. Even when after leaving this body, there is reappearance of new phenomena. Also then. And then we will learn, and this is very important also now for understanding what we are going to teach to you about Mahamudra practice, it's how to shape life, how to give a form to life from this understanding. What makes sense? What kind of interactions make sense with other people? What kind of action makes sense in this world? When we come from this dimension of knowing the nature of life, change, mind, it's all the same. That will be another time, another video.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yes. Thank you very much. May it be of benefit to all.